There were some people that got left behind, some people that kind of remained the same, but there was just an explosion of growth too, and we're still seeing it.
Welcome to Business Technicalities. I am joined by Sean and Allison here. We are going to talk about her career, being a judge in Pitch It, and probably a few journalism questions in here because she writes about some fun things in our industry, and there's always lots of things to write about, lots of fun stuff. Actually, we had all the not safe for this video talk before this, so we've actually been talking for like 10 minutes. We probably should actually record a show.
I think it's more than 10. Let's be honest. Actually, according to my time, it's been exactly 27 minutes of talking about everything else. Yeah, so I'm excited for this episode because Allison has I've always watched you from afar. I've seen you everywhere. I've been involved in Channel Futures. I've been on Channel Partner Expo. I dealt with your predecessor with Chris Blackman and whatnot. So, and you're always on the pulse of everything that's going on in the space, which
Try to be.
Well, I mean, you seem to be. Every time I see you, it's you're kind of there. I was about to say like a Kardashian, but that'd be kind of not right. But they seem to be involved in everything that goes on somehow. That family, and that's like you. So that's impressive. So welcome to the show, Allison.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So we're gonna try to stay away from all the 27-minute worth of conversation we had before, and we're gonna try to stick to an agenda. Even though Tom and I are very bad at the agenda most times, he's worse than me, and I'm bad. So let's talk. We're here to talk about you though, and your career and your journey and everything else. So let's talk about who you are and what you do. Now, I will steal the one part and say, obviously, we know that you're the senior news editor for Channel Futures, but let's talk about what you do exactly.
Yeah. So I've been with Channel Futures for about, in an official and unofficial capacity, I was a freelance writer for them for a while before they hired me on full time. So I'd say probably close to 4 years now. And it's been awesome. So yeah, I cover kind of the broad MSP beat. So that's kind of a catch-all for a lot of things. Now, obviously, a few of us, one of our editors does just complete cybersecurity. We've got the agent folks, but I kind of cover just the broad, the managed service provider beat. So again, a lot of that, since there is so much a crazy amount of M&A activity, a lot of what I am covering is the various snap ups you see. Obviously, there's some big ones, there's some smaller ones. But yeah, that ends up being a lot of what I kind of keep my finger on the pulse of. So
2022 has been exciting in terms of that. Lots of M&A. Recently, the VMware one, Kaseya one, so just all kinds of things. So
look, you can't help yourself, can you, Tom? You still want to talk about all that so bad.
It was a good discussion.
I agree.
We're not going to date this because you're probably watching this sometime far in the future when some other big M&A has happened. So
agreed.
That's what's going on.
So let's take the position of what's important about knowing about these M&As.
Well, it's interesting. So we actually, just a quick sideline, I also run the MSP 501 awards program.
Mm-hmm.
So we just pulled the list. We just pulled all the data that comes from, the survey that we have folks exhaustively fill out. And we ask the question, in the previous 12 to 24 months, are you looking to engage in any merger acquisition activity? So, kind of just looking backwards, and, of the 501 winners, I think it was 23% acquired one or more companies in the last 1 or 2 years. That's pretty
Wow.
high volume. Looking ahead, we also asked, are you looking to do this in the future? And 40% of our 501ers are thinking about it. So, it's this.
So MSPs acquired other MSPs?
Yes, essentially, yeah.
And I don't know if you know this now, but if you look, is the number higher due to COVID? For one, because I think you experienced it. If you watched everybody, I know tons of MSPs that didn't make the transition to how to work through the COVID world.
Right.
And I know a lot of MSPs that actually benefited tremendously off their own growth and acquisition.
Right. Well, I think, yeah, you could definitely tie the pandemic in there, but I think what that means now is that, people are sitting on cash.
Hmm.
It kind of speaks to the favorable lending market right now. There's low interest rates and whatnot. So, people are looking into this. If they weren't before, they certainly
Right.
are now. So I think that's why we're seeing such a high percentage.
And I think there's a compounding effect where as people talk about what happened after M&A, they acquired said MSP, they grew their customer base. It was a quick way to acquire a larger customer base and then, economies of scale, saving on the efficiencies. And as more people read these articles, they go, I got this idea. I read this article and it says I can grow faster by M&A. And in some ways, they're right. If you absorb another
Hmm.
MSP, that's in some ways cheaper than the really hard work of sales and getting new clients if you want to quick growth because the grind of gathering clients for your MSP is kind of hard, but buying someone else who already has 2 or 3,000 endpoints, that's all of a sudden you just got bigger.
Yeah.
But
It,
when you how do you compare that though? An M&A. So what you're talking about is the acquisition cost of a customer, right?
Mhm.
So you you can look at it. If you look at the trend of your company, you can say, hey, we did, and just for simple math, it's, hey, we added on 10 customers each year over the last 10 years at this many seats. And it cost us this much money invested in marketing, sales, operations, blah, 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 blah. But it's hard to really see that unless you actually look at the full picture because your upfront investments are always so high, right? When you start your business, providing your value add to it, your product market fit, hiring people, having it get in an office, whatever it is you're doing,
right.
acquisition is all in one. It's wrapped up in one package.
Yep.
So, so how do you compare the two? How would you compare the two? And that's a serious question. How would you compare the cost? Because you're looking at 10 years of your owning of your own business and growth compared to, hey, we spent 1 year doing this and bought a company.
Yeah.
Is it really, what would you determine to be more valuable? That's probably a question for you, Tom. You're going to be doing it
I
eventually.
was just gonna say this.
No, it kind of is. And I think, Sean, you kind of have the answer. You've been around the MSP space. How many MSPs have a solid grip on exactly what their out cost and outgoing cost is on sales? Okay. So, but you can put and assess a cost on what it costs to buy a company. That's a number. You have someone help you in
Yeah,
this. You consult with the legal team. So that's a number. It costs X dollars, and this is our return on it. And you can calculate the return on investment. So just because it may be an easier way to pitch the growth because it's easier to quantify. I think that's
I would
yeah,
agree with that. Maybe to some degree, but we'll
yeah,
never
to
know for
some degree.
sure.
There's no easy answer on
We're
it,
giving
but that's why we
Allison
read a
her
lot
next.
of
I
articles.
expect your next
I
report,
know.
Allison,
I'm
to give us
really
a
like
shout out for us.
Yeah,
wheels are spinning, guys.
I will share that article out. If you have a concise answer and talk to your resources and you write a good article on it, I'll absolutely share it. Me and
Oh my
I
Sean will
love
word.
discuss it.
I love
Yes,
that.
we'll discuss it. We'll bring you back for that conversation. And if you have anybody you bring on for like when you do your investigation,
Mhm.
we'll have them on too to discuss it. I don't
Awesome.
care.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's a big part. It's a
it's
big
great.
it's actually a huge part of. And it's funny that we're talking about this, which is not this is not the plan, by the way. Yesterday, the Pitch It team, the Pitch It vendors, contestants, they did a we had our workshop on mergers and acquisitions. Um, we had ConnectStrat on there to talk about it, and this was all about how do you figure out between when it comes down to equity, if you're like an A or a B holder or whatever it is, right? And so the conversation was all around all of this on mergers and acquisitions. And quite frankly, you can see there's a lot of unknowns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned, it's all one package. A lot of people I feel like enter into these, thinking like, oh, this thing to do, whether or not they're looking to snap up certain capabilities, whatever it is.
Right.
But like they don't look at or they don't think about what that looks like. Like what is the end game actually? And that's kind of a cautionary tale that, that's feedback we hear a lot is like, okay, do you know what this is actually going to look like? What is your actual exit strategy? Like what will this look like when it's completed?
Yep.
And you have to think about that.
None of them do. None of them. On it. Well, because you see a picture, it's kind of like I have my daughters, and we talked about my daughters, and when I talked to them like when they were kids, what they wanted to be compared to what you become when you're an adult.
Right.
Like you have a like I wanted to be like an astronaut and a firefighter, of course. Right. That's exciting stuff. And so instead, I went in the army and then I came to tech. So totally opposite of everything. Um,
Clearly are doing what we wanted to do. I also wanted to be a ballerina, so
right. I wanted to be a unicorn. Here I am, still not a
Yeah.
unicorn. Um, But the fact of the matter is, the same rules apply for a company that when you start your business, right? Like
Mhm.
Tom, when you started your business, you who knows why? You probably had a few reasons, right? Like you like to fix some things, work on some
Yeah.
things, and you're like, and you have a vision of this, and then you hit that why, that path, the crossroads, and you're like, okay, I can do this. I'm really good at, but I enjoy doing this. So then it becomes, which is more important? Is it necessity or want? It depends on
Mhm.
where you are in your life too, right? So I don't know. I
No,
don't
It's
know.
not
that's a good
it's
point.
not simple. But how do you go from wanting to be an astronaut or a ballerina to writing about mergers
Good
and
question.
acquisition?
Nice segue.
He's good at those things.
Well, let's see. So, I mean, college comes around and they make you decide what you want to be for the rest of your life, which is a fun game for everyone to play.
Yeah.
I started off as a graphic design major with a minor in music, which I had no idea what I was going to do with that. All professors that I talked to were just like, yeah, that may not be the most lucrative career, but you do you. Discovered pretty early on that that wasn't going to go anywhere, so I dropped that to just be kind of a journalism major, and then got into the public relations and marketing track. So that's the degree I graduated with, was journalism with a focus in public relations. Did that for a while. Um, you know, Big agency, small agency, went in house at one point, and then decided, well, let's see. The reason I got into this was because I like to write, and there's some writing in PR. You do social posts and press releases and uh
Yes.
pitches.
The end. The end.
Yeah, exactly. But I wanted to do that, just but that's it. So I actually moved to, this wasn't why, but I moved to Australia for 2 years. Just yeah.
Is it like a walkabout? Is that what we were doing? Was a walkabout?
I
Or
mean, no, it was, they had a really good work and holiday visa. And I don't know, I wanted to live abroad for a while. So I was like, I'm just going to freelance write for a year. It was only supposed to be a year. I ended up saying,
Sean did that too, but the military doesn't put you exactly in the most hospitable places.
oh,
at
yeah,
least,
no, yeah. I was like, I'm gonna freelance, and they're like, yeah, right here, you're doing this,
Yeah.
going right here.
Australia sounds way better than where Sean was.
Oh my god, Allison had a way better life than me so far.
Yeah.
I'm not even like, man,
I mean, not accounting for all the giant bugs and poisonous stuff down there. I escaped, somehow, and not encountering some of that, but
yeah,
it's it's
I,
nuts.
yeah. I remember when I was digging holes, like the trenches, in the ports, like down in Guatemala, down in the jungle, and yeah, I remember that. There was like a mile and a half away was an all inclusive resort, and we were
Uh,
never allowed to go to it.
uh,
We had to dig holes and
had to
and,
dig
and
holes.
yeah, like we had to dig holes. That's We're about dysentery. It was like the Oregon Trail in real life, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Oh boy, transport.
Australia sounds way better.
what?
It has beaches. It didn't suck. I'm not
There
gonna
was
Yeah.
a beach by me with the all inclusive was on it, but I wasn't allowed to get to it. I can only go to the port to pick up vehicles and street and yeah, I know it's okay.
It's never too late, Sean.
Because I'm actually applying for my visa right now.
There you go. There you go.
Freelance going. I'm abandoning my children.
They'll
So
understand.
after a couple years in Australia, what brought you back here?
Yes.
So, well, visa ended, and they make it kind of hard to stay if you don't want to pay them a ton of money, and I didn't. So I came back. And I was freelancing for Channel Futures at the time, and when I got back, they hired me on full time. So
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I backtracking just a second. So one of the PR firms I worked for, the clients were strictly B2B tech clients. So I remember there was one smaller company based out of Austin, Texas, that just did like hyper-converged infrastructure. Like that was kind of my intro to the tech world, was, trying to make hyper-converged infrastructure interesting. So
So
that
how do you? So
was
can you
what
give
a
us a
name.
tagline from that? Give us a
oh
slogan.
oh my gosh, I think it's the gist was, you layer software on top of hardware and poof, like it saves you a bunch of space, and like
I'm
that was the
I'm
gist.
intrigued. I'm instantly intrigued. Thank you. I'm
I'm
now
sure.
so excited about that.
See,
But
you
Tom
were
is,
not
but
every
Tom is like, this is amazing.
Yes. Hyperconverge is awesome.
So it's like the Martha Stewart of
Right,
technology.
target audience, yeah.
It's
What'd
like the
you say?
Martha Stewart of technology. I mean, she makes baking and sewing exciting.
Right. So yeah, that was what I attempted to do with that company and, some of the other clients that I worked on. But it really, I mean, it made me interested in the space. And when you have to either up level or down level, depending on the case, the content that you have to make it, and you're sending this to, reporters like I am now, you have to make it compelling. It's just like, why is this interesting? Why should you write about it? Why should you care? So with things like that, and the hyperconverged infrastructure is probably the best example, you do have to make it, you have to learn about it. You have to be able to speak about it somewhat intelligently, and then, like give it to someone in a bright, pretty package with a bow on top saying like, please write about this. Like,
I understand that feeling.
yeah.
So
So,
that's what Tom and I
and
are doing right now with this. We're trying to put this in a pretty bow and
yeah,
saying, please write about this.
yep,
We try to keep
yep,
this business oriented, high level. So, and it's a challenge because that's why I had, even for myself, I had to split my channel because having, in like in your terms, like one publication that covers deep into weeds versus one that's focused on certain high levels, you different audiences for it. So it is kind of
right.
packaging it all to the right audience to have it all in context.
Exactly. That's what it comes down to, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay. So that leads us to a really good question then for you. We always ask, what is your currency? Like, why do
Okay.
you do this? What is your currency? What's important to you?
I I think making people interested in something that, is either already interesting to me or figuring out how to make it interesting to other people. I get
Hmm.
a a sense of accomplishment from writing a really good piece, that's in depth, that's well researched, that's got a lot of commentary from, kind of all sides of things. Just showing kind of that measurable, I guess, progress bar in terms of that.
Sure.
And that's, I mean,
Uncomplicating the story, unwrapping it so they can understand it.
exactly. Yep.
So
Yep.
you're a story. You love being a storyteller
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Mhm.
and an educator because that's what it's both. I mean, that's
Yeah.
again back to how we just sort of analyzed part of the merger and acquisition thing, right? Which we already come to an answer. That's what you're going to find out later. I can't
Yeah.
wait for your
I'll get
report
on
on
that.
it. I can't wait for your report on that. But yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. So you've always, and it sounds like you've always been writing.
Yeah. That's something even as far back, like elementary school, that was something that I like doing. I was mega nerd. I don't know if you guys got or had or if your daughter Sean have like the accelerated reader program. Like you read a book, you take a test. Um,
Yeah, AR, yeah, mhm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes.
So I won awards for that. Uh,
I'm very familiar with the program. I think it's a
yeah,
great program, though.
no, for sure. Honestly, it is, and it encourages people to read. And I think that, so I devoured books when I was a kid, and then would, as I got older, like would enter like writing contests, and so yeah, I did
Mhm.
that whole song and dance when I was younger. So I think this was kind of a natural course for me.
It sounds like it. What's the favorite? What is your favorite? What's your favorite genre to read then?
Oh man,
Like I can tell you mine's sci-fi horror.
I hate this question, and like when people ask me what my favorite like music genre is too, I'm just like I
Well,
don't
no,
know.
music I can't say, but
Yeah,
books,
books is a good one too.
sci-fi horror I can talk
Ooh, good one.
like absolutely like Dean Koontz and all those guys. I'm down. So what motivates you to keep going with this? What motivates you with everything? Not even just this, but what's your motivation?
Oof, it's
What are
an
you gonna be when
intense
you grow up? You want to be an astronaut. Now you're a writer. So what are you gonna be when you grow up?
well, can I guess to continue to perfect my writing. It's interesting. You mentioned Chris Blackman earlier. So she and I are really good friends, and like, she is an incredible writer. Like I read some of the stuff that she writes, and I'm just like, okay, yep,
Mhm.
that's what I aspire to. And there's a couple of people who write like long form essays. Um, Guy Talese is an author who is known for, and this was someone that Chris recommended that I check out, but long form fiction or long form nonfiction. So he did one of the first long form articles in Esquire actually about Frank Sinatra. It's called Frank Sinatra Has a Cold. It's really good. If you guys ever get an
Hmm.
hour, sit down with that one. But yeah, just I think motivates me in terms of, my job, I suppose, is just constantly honing those skills. There's always something to aspire to. So, whether it's reading something that's going to enhance that, or just actively sitting down and kind of focusing on that. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. Again, in the context of my job, at least,
Yeah.
and in
What about
life.
what about you? Yeah, in life. Let's talk about life. That's way more intriguing.
Okay.
I mean, it's not your original job of writing about, I don't know, hardware, software, blah blah blah. Anyway,
Right.
so
Well, what motivates me in life? I'm kind of a environmental nut. I'm a save the whales, save the rainforest type. Um, but it's interesting kind of tying over, my more technical, I guess, expertise now. It's not just like, you guys, we should save the whales, stop throwing your plastic away, like stop cutting down the rainforest. It's more of like a tangible approach to it. It's just like, okay, so there's some companies in the UK working on biodegradable plastic, or actual things that could be put into practice. Clean energy stuff. Yeah, it's all very, you kind of graduate to that level of like, okay, these are the actual things that we could do, whether it's on an individual basis or, as companies that have clout, to actually like enact these changes. So anyway, I think that's one side thing that I kind of gets me going. I can go on a soapbox forever, honestly,
Yeah.
about some of this.
I, I'm okay with soapbox.
Yeah.
That's why you're here, is for the soapbox right now.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And bringing it back a little to work, though, there's a question that we like to ask, and is what product or service should exist in your market, around journalism? What is the tool that's missing that hasn't been invented? What would make your job easier around what you do?
So many answers for this. I
Yeah.
think I think one of the big ones, and this is kind of I think everyone wants this one, is a crystal ball. You know,
Ah,
especially in this industry, everything just moves so fast. It's hard to keep up sometimes. Throw in a pandemic and you've got just utter chaos. So it's
I hadn't noticed. Hadn't noticed.
oh, no. It's a blip. It's just a blip in our history, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
gone now, didn't you know?
Well, yeah. Well, there's other stuff going on.
Right.
Come on now. There's more important. Johnny Depp exists. I mean, we got a Trout of,
Right.
COVID's gone. Johnny Depp's back.
I'm surprised he hasn't solved the pandemic yet, honestly.
Yeah, he has.
Yes.
He hasn't announced it yet. He is.
just another installment of the pirate movie.
He's not allowed to be in a pirate movie anymore. They
I
kicked him
know.
off now because of this. So they
Oh,
fired him because of the, so I mean,
but
I feel bad for him. He has enough money. We're not worried about the money part, but
he's fine. Yeah, and maybe they should just stop making those movies. How many are there now? Like 7? Like
27, 28. I don't know.
enough.
Disney can milk something. That's what they buy.
Oh my god.
They
No
are
way.
experts.
Yes. Oh, talk about stretching it. Okay. Allison, you're in marketing and you work with, the goal is to be able to chunk content to stretch out the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Disney is the king and queen of
They are the
all of
gold
it.
standard for this.
They are.
So is Marvel. Like
Yeah.
how many multiverses do we have now? Like,
Many as they need.
The third. What's
not
the
bad at it. I'll just throw that.
Allison, it's the multiverse. You can have as many as you want. Everybody knows this. There's so
Okay, I
many.
might amend my answer then. That's what I want.
Yes.
I want to be able to access the multiverse.
Yeah.
Right. I do too, actually. I think it'd be cool. I mean, like, actually, I started rewatching Stranger Things.
Oh,
And because I always rewatch to catch up to watch the new season, right? Because you always
Smart.
forget things. And that's all about the multiverse, because that's the upside down is another.
Yep.
It's exactly that. They only have one. And I didn't notice
that we know of.
I didn't see Doctor Strange in that one either of them. So I think he's not real. Just want to point it out.
There's only so many crossovers you can do.
Right.
Someone
There's
owns
so many
the
crossovers you have the budget for.
Gotta stop somewhere.
So we have the most important question of the day.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I have other questions first. You're involved in Pitch It.
Yeah.
So thank you for judging Pitch It. First.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. If, like I said earlier, we started doing our webinar series with them to promote their product and them and whatnot. So when you go into this, what is something that you're going to, what stands out to you?
Like in terms of contestants?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a combination of things. First of all, I'm so excited to be a judge for this. It's gonna be awesome.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah,
I'm stoked. I'm not even doing anything. I just have
I'm,
to stand there and look
it's a good
pretty.
job. Someone's got
Yeah.
to do it.
Doing my hair that day.
I think I don't know. I think there's a couple different components. I think you have to look at like market fit. Do you have a partner program? What does that look like? What is your channel approach? That's under a microscope for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
What are your innovation strategies? What's your value creation? What does your partner engagement look like? Like all of these things are really, again, I don't want to say under a microscope right now, but like they're becoming more and more valuable aspects.
I would
You know,
agree.
what does your focus on overall channel collaboration improvement look like? Like that kind of thing,
Sure. I think it comes down to your engagement, right, with
Your
partners.
engagement.
How
Yep.
you're. So I sat with Carol and April a year and a half ago on a webinar
Mm,
talking about the future of MSPs because CompTIA loves talking about it all the time, which is great because it's important to know.
sure.
And I asked the question. I'm like, so you know, does it make sense for vendors to, because of the way the workforce was going, it seemed like the channel should be much stronger because
Mm,
no company could have large office spaces anymore with all their sales reps and marketing staff all in one building to manage. So it's more cost effective in my mind to work through partners that already paid the bill for their employees.
mhm.
Because you're either that or you're paying for your own remote workforce that you may or may not be able to manage in the most effective way.
Right.
And so I was curious if there was ever a study done. I would love to see if there was a study done for that. How many companies
Probably.
had preference on outsourcing
Mhm.
over insourcing because of COVID alone, not having office space. So yeah, so when you look at it, I think it's probably something smart to say because these vendors are all trying to figure out how to work best, and I think it's a good growth. There's great growth in the channel regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Is there any? Yeah,
I was
no,
just
go ahead.
that's been the rhetoric, again, ever since the pandemic is how well the channel did. And
Mm-hmm.
look, not everyone did. There were some people that got left behind, some people that kind of remained the same, but there was just an explosion of growth too, and we're still seeing it. So, that's a really excellent question, kind of a good like introspection to have.
Yeah, I mean, maybe something simple would be what's the workforce look like,
What's the workforce?
internal to external. So if you had 1,000 sales reps as a company and you had 400 channels resellers,
Mhm.
did that flip flop at all? What's it look like today?
Right.
You know. So
Yep.
for the vendors, what advice do you have for these vendors that are competing?
Oh boy.
Right, that wasn't
Listen,
on the list.
listen to the partners. Like that's
And maybe, you could start with, like you said, some of them, and I know from talking to a couple of people, some have a really clear understanding of how to partner, especially when they used to be MSPs.
yeah.
The ones that are probably the most naive about the whole process are they came in with a product and they go, "This is a good market to sell a product to." How do you sell a product to this market? It's our first time here. I imagine that's a lot of what you're looking at.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you could kind of deconstruct it that way. It's like look at it from the other side, you know? Um,
Yeah,
I, yeah, a lot of them coming from the MSP space get it. Definitely. They know how to
there's a
partner.
lot of MSPs that did it though. There's a lot of MSPs that are creating their own vendor, become vendors because they
Right.
Mhm.
know they're solving a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're so yeah, I totally get it. All right, so now the most important question is, what's your love language?
Uh,
The most important question.
John loves this question.
I love it. Jay McBain is the one that gave it to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we ran
And
everything
he
he gave
knew
us.
the answer. Of course, he read the book and everything. So
Of course, he probably wrote part of the book. Let's be
yeah.
honest.
It's a good
He,
question, and we all should be more in touch with these things.
Yes.
So this is a good question. So mine are, and I've taken the quiz multiple times. Mine are, I think, the reigning ones anyway, are words of affirmation, physical touch, and quality time. Those are mine.
I feel like you were the most. She, aside from Jay, she was the most prepped for this question.
Yes. Well,
Again, I've taken the quiz.
and she reads a lot of books, obviously. So
I read a lot of books.
of course, this was among them.
That those are. Uh, yes, I'm along the same lines as you.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Gift giving is like I don't like receiving gifts. It feels weird.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, and then that makes you feel like, huh, shit, should I give a gift? Like,
Right, now I gotta go get a gift. I'll be back.
yep, yep.
And then I overthink that.
I always do that. Yep.
Then I do like research. Like I Google what gifts to buy for this person at this age or what their likes. Then I'm on Amazon, same thing. Then I call friends, and then I call their friends. I'm like,
Hey, at least you do your due diligence. I usually just end up buying someone a plant. Like, here you go.
that's
Or
so
like,
smart. I should buy more plants.
right.
It's like
Plants
the
are
gift
good.
that
Little cactuses, they're easy to take care of. I've certainly bought those for people.
They're hard to kill. Like, yeah, you're golden.
I don't know the level of responsibility with plants. I usually assume low, like mine.
Right. 100%. I have literally researched what plants are hard to kill. They don't need a lot of water. They don't need a lot of care. Like, you're good.
I love that. Oh my God. Thank you for that.
So there you go. Now you know. Next time. But yeah.
Plants.
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 For those of us who don't have gift giving in our love languages.
There has to be something easier. Well, no, plants are easy. I'm all right. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna start doing
or a bottle of wine, or like it really just it depends on the friend. It depends on who you're giving this to. Obviously, if someone's graduating from high school, you don't give them that. But like money works. I'm in the same boat, man. Like
yeah, what do you do? It's horrible, especially and when you have kids, you have to go to birthday parties, and you know how rough that is. Tom goes, oh, it sucks.
I stick money in envelopes.
That's see, that's what I would do. You're like, save this.
Here's $100 bill, kid.
So will I, but my God, like, but then when you have daughters, you have to be creative. Like, girl, like, especially when it's a father to a daughter, there has to be some level of like, I actually know you. You're my kid. I know what you like.
Yeah.
Like, it is difficult.
My daughter was easy. She's a bookworm. So I just bought books and Borders gift certificates, and she's happy every time. Even now in her 20s, she's still happy with that.
I don't get that. I'm like, my oldest daughter's like, you don't even know me. I'm like, what do you mean? You're right. I don't know you.
You're like, you're probably right. But also, do you like, how old is she?
27.
Oof.
Yeah, good. There's no.
I mean, and that's so nuanced. It really just depends on what, you're into.
Yeah.
She like to do outdoor stuff? Like
she likes to hike, but come back to the house. Like that's the she's not like
not go camping.
Not really.
Well, and that's my fault because after the Army, I didn't want to go camping ever again. Like so, we went
time in a trench in Guatemala. You're like, I'm done with this,
dude. It's exactly
stuff. Yeah.
I spent, I have 9 years of the Army. I spent several years in a tent, and I'm like, I'm done.
That's
like,
fair.
So I
now do this on purpose for fun. Like,
yeah, I'm like, that's stupid. I'm glamping.
I'm going to a resort.
I'm gonna like. I see your pictures, Allison. I see you go do all these cool things. I'm like, is there a house or a Hyatt? What's there? Like I'm gonna go hike for 3 hours, and but 3 hours is an hour and a half to where I want to see, and an hour and a half back, which is at the air conditioned hotel.
Mm-hmm. Not the tent filled with red dust and pine needles.
No, not unless it's like where they cleanse me. There could be a tent there where they just shoot all stuff at me, and I walk into the hotel. But no matter what, there will be no staying there.
That's fair. Again, I get that. We just went camping in Moab over the weekend, which is stunning. It's beautiful, but red dirt gets everywhere. And I think we stayed there a grand total, like it was 3 nights. 3 nights, and it just like the second night, I was like, sleeping on a slightly inflated like mat on the hard ground and kind of a sleeping bag, not awesome. But you do it because it's
experience.
No, that's good. I'll just look at your pictures, and I'll look at your pictures like, that looks beautiful. I had a great time.
Congratulations, Allison. Well done.
I'm in my air conditioning, and I took a shower.
Oh, showers. Yeah. That's one thing you give up when you camp, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not giving it up.
I camped a lot when I was younger, so I don't do it when I'm older.
Exactly, right? Actually, Tom is the prime example. He has
a farm. I don't farm anymore.
And he has a motorcycle, so he can drive out to it and drive back out of it in the same day.
I still love the wilderness. I still love traveling, but then I sleep in a nice hotel room.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, like with air conditioning, cable TV,
Internet.
Wi-Fi, and a bar.
And a
Yeah,
bar.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we did that. We did
Yeah, that's what you should do. I mean, that's like it makes everything more fun. I don't know. I'm just sorry. I must be old. I must be very traditional in my approach.
that. Again, it's not you. It's one of those things you do, and you're just like, why am I doing this again? Like it is fun for like 2 days, and then you start to question your mental health. So
Yeah.
I get it.
I agree. I I'm not questioning yours at all. I think you're really doing a
That's
good.
fine. You can.
I'm just gonna live vicariously through you and show my daughter all the great places we never that we were at with you.
There you go. Yeah.
Every time me, you, and Allison and everybody else, we're all together at that place. Look at the pictures. They're on my photo album.
Beautiful.
All right. So where can people connect with you, find articles? We'll leave them all linked down below. You're currently
Yeah.
working at, again,
Channel Futures.
Channel
So
Futures.
the website is quite easy to remember. It's channelfutures.com.
Easy
Uh,
enough.
yeah, you can. I mean, you can go to my author page. Just type my name in too.
We'll leave
But
that directly linked down below, so it
We'll
makes
give
it
it,
easy
yeah.
to find. And
perfect. Yeah,
at the present day of June 2022, you wrote about VMware and things like that, but who knows? The future holds a lot of uncertainty, so there's plenty to write about.
it does. Yep, things are
Where did
changing every day.
where do we find you physically next show?
Oh, I'm going to be at Connect IT in Vegas. I keep forgetting it's June. It's literally June.
It's June, yes, now as of right
It's
now.
what is time? Oh God. But yeah, no, it's that's the next one I'll be at, and then right after that I'll be at the HPE event in Vegas again.
Nice.
The very
You
next
like
week.
the Vegas events.
I just should get a house there or something, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Why? You can just camp
fair
there.
enough.
It's a
So
little
small.
warm.
There's lots of land out there that nobody's on.
Nobody wants to be on, Sean.
Nobody wants to be on.
People like the camp bar, Tom. They like this stuff.
When it's 102, probably not.
That's I don't care what it is. It could be 75 and beautiful. Still back to the hotel.
Still
Yep.
not into it. Yep.
If you need anything, well, when you do your report on the M&A stuff, we really want to know about that. Really give
Look,
you ideas.
I'm always doing stuff. I mean, I just did something yesterday on a kind of small potatoes one, but sometimes it would be nice to make it into a larger piece or like a gallery. Sometimes we just kind of compile all of these and do a gallery on like the biggest ones over the last, month or two. So that might be actually that might be good to, do an editorial piece on top of the gallery. So would love your commentary. Would love to take that question you guys posed at the beginning and kind of ferret that out a little bit.
Well, yeah, we could have a fun byline with it, like, MSP, build it or buy it. Which is the best path for growth?
Allison, thank you so much.
It was so
you.
fun. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.